Hey, what's up, comrades? Hope everyone's doing great. I just watched. I can't even talk about it. I just watched what might be the most bonkers shit I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm sorry. You have to watch this. It is freaking incredible. This is some of the best Highlander stuff I have ever seen. And we're talking about the Methos Chronicles, which you can literally just get on YouTube right now. You don't have to pirate nothing, torrent nothing. You just go to YouTube, look up Methos Chronicles. It's a Flash animation series. It's 16 episodes. The longest episode's like 5 minutes. I cruised through this thing in like half an hour, right? It was like, oh my gosh. It was so badass. Like, I'm laughing because it was so good. Like, it was like shockingly good. Like, of course, it's like a Flash animation from like the 90s, so it's awful looking. Oh my gosh. But it was excellent, bro. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. It's all about Mythos, obviously Mythos Chronicles. And we find out where he came from. And I've read somewhere that this is not canon. Nothing in the Highlander series is canon. It's all so crazy, right? But it shows the origins of like Juan or Ramirez, Sean Connery's character. It shows Connor being dead, which happens like off screen in the next movie. Spoiler alert. We'll get there in a couple weeks. It shows the origin of Mythos. We get this Dajir guy who's like this ancient immortal. Because so Mythos is 5,000 years old, right? So Dajir was an immortal before that. So it's 16 parts. I'm just going to kind of cruise through. And we bounce back and forth between like different time periods, obviously, right? With him, it's just like, and then there's like an epic Flash animated battle at the end, which there's like Dajir guy with these two freaking awesome looking swords and Mythos wins, and we get like the quick hitting and everything. And then like this human lady, he's like banging. We get a scene of them like after the fact, like in the bedroom, and she's like laying with like a blanket cover. It was like, holy cow. Okay, let's see if we can hold it together. This video is gonna be super short because this thing's super short. Like I said, it's maybe like 30 minutes, if that. Excellent. Oh my gosh, you got to check this out. It is so good. So it starts off, Mythos is just like drinking in a bar and he sees this Dr. Mina Abadi, and she's dug up some sarcophagus from like the ocean, and then Mythos sees it and he like spits out his drink. And then we see he's like married to this woman like 5,000 years ago, living in the desert of like Egypt or whatever. And then these raiders come and like kill his wife and his whole tribe and then drag him off, and they're about to execute him. And then this Dajir guy, who's the pharaoh of all of Egypt, he shows up and he's like, stop. And we find out that Dajir is an immortal and Mythos is an immortal. So they, he trains him on how to be an immortal, right? This is like his progenitor. And then the guy, Dajir, is like tired of being alive. So he's been alive for how many thousands of years, right? And so he wants Mythos to cut off his head and like take over as pharaoh of Egypt. And so because Mythos wants revenge on like his wife, he's like, how about I bury you in a sarcophagus and dump you in the ocean instead? And so he does. What an a-hole. And then he becomes the pharaoh, and the people try to kill him, but he's like immortal, so they can't kill him. And at some point, Ramirez is like a slave to this Egyptian empire, and he gets like killed, and then Mythos like trains him up, and they go and like kill all the immortals that are still loyal to like Dajir. So this must be, Ramirez must be like thousands of years old, right? Which I don't know if he ever said. He just said he was Spanish, which is not true. But he should have not been killed by the Kruger, if that's the case. But it's all sketchy, like canon anyway. And then there's that new movie coming out with Henry Cavill, which I'm so excited for. I love this stuff so much. Raven is like the only thing that's kind of boring, to be completely honest. But that's because it's barely like an immortal show. Like when it's an immortal show, it's pretty good. But half of that show is not, as you saw if you watched my video a couple weeks ago. But man, we get all sorts of crazy stuff. So the immortal, so Mythos is like training and stuff, and then at some point he goes to Japan to train with the guy who does like illusions that from what was the third movie called? Hold on. Like Final Judgment or whatever. Hold on, I'm on my drive right now. I'm just gonna look this up. What did I call this? Highlander. Action? Yeah, action. Okay. Final Dimension. Yeah, so for Final Dimension, right? And then, he talks about, he goes to like Connor's grave, because, and we'll get to that in the next one. He talks about Duncan. He talks about at some point he was doing something crazy and then Amanda stopped him. So we get all these like throwbacks. We get him being like a watcher and all this stuff. And and so this is like the past stuff, and he's just doing all this crazy stuff and like fighting people and doing whatever. In the modern day, so he goes to confront Dr. Abadi, and then so he can rush to stop Dajir from being freed, and then he gets arrested, and the woman's like, let me go talk to him, and so she goes and talks to him, releases him from jail, then he goes, and as soon as he opens the casket, of course, Dajir is still alive because he's an immortal, and he comes out, and so Methos is like, it's time for you to pay, mother effer. I should have done this thousands of years ago. And so he goes to cut off his head, but then Abadi like hits him from behind, and then Dajir is like, I'll get you later, and he like wanders off. And so then let's see. And so then then he's like trying to track down Dajir, and this gets him to being like, he became a watcher originally to like track down Dajir, right? According to this. And this is where he runs into like some of the newer people like Duncan and stuff, and Amanda. And then finally he's able to like kind of track this guy down. And then after he tracks him down, and then he starts banging like Dr. Abadi again. And then he goes with her to like, or he goes to like take care of this guy, and he busts in there, and then he's gonna get he gets caught. That's right. So some goons like bust into his house right after he banged Dr. Abadi, and then they grab him and they grab her, and then take him to Dajir, and Dajir's about to cut off his head, and then the Watchers that are like working for him like send in some dudes, and they gun like the goons, and they release, and then Methos is able to release himself, and that's when him and Dajir have like the final face off, and there's some like fun music. I don't know if it was self-made for this, but it was pretty good. And so Methos finally cuts off Dajir's head and gets like the quickening, and then him and Abdabi like head out to somewhere else, and they get on a plane, and it's like cool 90s like we did it, high fives all around. And that's it. That's the Methos Chronicles. This video is like less than 10 minutes long. I'm telling you, if you like Highlander at all, if you've listened to any of these videos, you got to go watch this. It is, at first you're going to be like, what is this garbage? Like 90s Flash animation. I actually think this thing came out in 2001, if I remember correctly. But same thing. So, but if you just watch the whole thing, just sit down and watch like all 16 episodes, you're going to be like, freaking awesome. Like just the lore and all the cool stuff that's going on, and like just the story and the Methos stuff. Methos is such a badass in this, and he has a whole thing where he's like, if I'm gonna kill Dajir for being an a-hole and killing all these people, like when I was a horseman I did much worse things, and like what does that make me? And he's like, YOLO. Loved it every second of this. This is some of the best peak Highlander stuff going on. So go ahead and join me. We just got movies for like, there's 3 or 4 movies, and then we're going to head into like a realm I've never been to, which is like the cyberpunk futuristic Highlander stuff. I think it's all cartoons. I think it's like 2 seasons and maybe a movie. Anyway, cool. So go ahead and like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.